Hey, what is up? Welcome to this episode of the Wantrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast. As always, I'm your host, Brian Lofermento, and I have got an absolute treat for you here in today's episode because I already know that all of you listeners are going to totally love today's guest because this is not only an incredible entrepreneurial story of someone who was a paramedic, a firefighter, who took his part-time side hustle gig and turned it into a burgeoning business, but what I really love about today's guest is it's so clear to me how much passion and excellence he injects into everything that he does. So let me introduce you to today's guest. His name is Chris Rios. Chris is the founder and CEO of Ultra Shine Holiday Lights. But to him, lighting isn't just about bulbs and wires. It's about creating moments. He grew up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, moving to Kansas to play college football, and after graduating, spent 15 years serving as a firefighter and paramedic in Salina, Kansas. While still in the fire service, Chris started his company, Ultra Shine, as a side hustle to bring in extra money for Christmas. What began as hanging holiday lights has grown into a full-scale professional lighting company serving municipalities, homeowners, and business owners in both Kansas and the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Chris brings a hands-on approach, a sharp eye for design, and a passion for making every project feel personal. Whether it's a home that glows for the holidays, a city showing its town pride, or a business that stands out year-round, his goal is simple: make it shine. And I'll tell you what, Chris is going to shine today because we're going to learn so much from the way he operates, from the way he thinks, the way that he sees the world. So I'm not going to say anything else. Let's dive straight into my interview with Chris Rios. All right, Chris, I am so very excited that you're here with us today. First things first, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
Heck yes, you have got an amazing entrepreneurial story. I love your attitude. I love the way that you approach business and how much care you put into it. So take us beyond the bio. Who's Chris? How'd you start doing all these cool things?
So, like you said, I grew up in Dallas-Fort Worth, moved up to Kansas to play college football back in 2002. Ended up hurting my knee for a second time. Ended up getting married to a gal I met in college originally. After we got married, I decided I wanted to join the fire service after being a volunteer for a couple of years. So I got on full-time fire department. Absolutely loved it. Did it, like you said, for 15 years as a firefighter paramedic. And then down the road, I decided I wanted to start something just to bring in some extra cash. So I opened up Ultra Shine Holiday Lights. I've since been divorced, but we have two beautiful daughters. Been remarried now and have a third bonus child that I love to death, and love coaching all of my kids in sports and hanging out and going to their activities. And it's kind of a little bit about us.
Yeah, I love that overview, Chris, especially because when I look at your story, and you know how excited I've been for you and I to get together. It's been a while since we first agreed for you to come on the show. But what really stands out to me is the fact that a lot of people, they get stuck in, I don't know what my business idea is going to be. I don't know when I can start it. I don't know where I'm going to find the time. Chris, you are a busy dad. You had an incredible professional career. You had all the reasons in the world to dream about starting your business, but you actually just went forth and did it. What did that decision point look like? Especially when we talk about Ultra Shine, did you know that's the business that you wanted?
So it actually started out as a window cleaning business. A couple other firefighters I knew were doing window cleaning. I said, well, I can do that. Then after about a year or two, started seeing people hanging Christmas lights. And I absolutely loved Christmas lights growing up. I went and looked at them all the time. My family, I spent many years in the car just driving around looking at Christmas lights. And Christmas light business was just kind of supposed to be a side gig, even through the winter for the window cleaning, but it really took off and was able to take over my whole, I want to say my whole side hustle, because we was busy from end of September through mid-December, and then of course in January we come back, take the lights down, and I don't know what made this work. I didn't think living here in a smaller community, this would ever take off to what it is now. But it just kind of happened.
Yeah, I love that. Honestly, Chris, as someone who interviews entrepreneurs for a living so frequently, that's what we hear is you weren't setting out on a specific mission. You just were doing you and you were side hustling and it turned into something bigger. You talk about that small town feel, and obviously that's one of your advantages. Chris, I would interject there that also one of your advantages is you don't grow in a small town unless you do great work. And obviously that's where the word of mouth comes from. Take us back to your early projects though, because you talk about being a kid admiring Christmas lights. That's different from being a professional that offers this service. You had to figure out that professional service side of it. What do those early projects look like as far as figuring out how you operate, how the heck you price this stuff, how you master customer service? What did that look like?
Sure. So I did a lot of reading on Facebook forums and internet and everywhere, trying to figure out the best methods, best ways to do it. I took a online training class from another another Christmas light installer that had been killing it over the years, and just kind of followed their methods and changed a few things, tweaked it the way it better fit me and my business. I learned a lot of things that I did originally probably weren't the best, the safest. Pricing, it took a while, a couple years to figure out. We are a premium service. I mean, it's not something that just anybody wants to get on a roof in the middle of winter and hang lights, come back and take them down. So it is a premium service, and trying to figure out pricing strategies, especially in this smaller community where we don't have the multi-million-dollar homes like in a metro area. It took a little playing, but after 10 years, I think we have it dialed in.
Yeah, I love that. And part of that obviously is the business fundamentals of understanding your ideal customers. You obviously are super plugged into your community. I would actually imagine that being a firefighter, being a paramedic, you understand the clientele, you understand the people inside the community extraordinarily well. When you think about your ideal customers, a lot of entrepreneurs, especially early on, have the tendency to just cave and say, yeah, we'll serve everybody. Like, hey, you want it done for $100? We're going to do that. And they take on all of these projects. Did you go through that evolution when it comes to that pricing discovery, or were you always really clear of, hey, this is where we have to be in order to survive?
I went through that. It's one of those, I didn't want to lose a customer. I was discounting here, discounting there. Then I really started weighing the risk of being on a roof that's 2 or 3 stories up in the air. I'm by myself originally when I was starting out. If I fall off that roof, there's no one around to see me. And it took a lot of just trying to figure that out, that in the business knowledge that, because I came from zero business background. Granted, I got a degree in business in college, but like a lot of people say, I don't feel like that helped me to where I am now. It was more, let's get a degree and get out, just so I had the diploma. But yeah, it took a lot of playing to figure out where I was. And it was about three or 4 years into it before I really realized this is a luxury product and service that we provide, and it needs to be taken care of that way.
Yeah, and what I think is really cool is obviously we keep talking about the evolution of your business and your own business owner insights. You're not just doing holiday lights these days. You've got such a cool client roster. You serve municipalities, you serve business owners. Talk to us about that evolution and your service line and who it is that you serve as well.
Sure. So in 2015, it's kind of when we got started with Christmas lights. 4 or 5 years after we kind of got started, we started having these customers ask us about these permanent lights. I'd seen them, wasn't anything I was really looking for, but I was like the idea that I put them up, I take them down, I store them, I own them, and rent these lights out to the customers. Well, permanent lights started becoming a really big thing, and I took a class, went down to do a bid for a municipal project for just regular Christmas lights, and I'd literally taken the class about a month prior, and I showed them a video, said, what about these? They absolutely loved them. So our very first permanent lighting project was a whole downtown square, and then the courthouse right in the middle of downtown. So we did that in the middle of November. So we'd hang Christmas lights for 8 hours a day, take a break for supper, then we meet down there in this town and hang lights till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning some days. Freezing cold temperatures. It was a rough first job, but we got it done. But now we're doing municipalities, we're doing cities, municipalities, residential homes, and commercial businesses where we're putting permanent lights up. We also do landscape lighting to uplight homes and businesses, trees, property, just different things like that. And then we also do outdoor audio systems.
Yeah, it's so cool, Chris. I really want to get in your mind here because a lot of us hearing you talk about these clients and these projects that you work on, it makes me personally realize how much we take for granted when we're walking around wherever it is that we live. I live here in Tampa, and especially like underneath our bridges, there's all sorts of light installations. It looks cool for us as drivers, but I've never thought about, gosh, somebody installed those, which before you can install it, somebody thought of them. Someone mapped out that project. Somebody made the actual execution roadmap of how that project is going to go. Walk us through what goes into these projects, because I don't think we fully appreciate it.
Yeah, so like our permanent lights, they come in sections of light. So we have a 25-foot section of lights, a 10-foot, a 5-foot, and a 2-foot section. So it takes a lot of measuring, trying to figure out how are we going to piece these together to fill up a section of lights on a home, a business, whatever it may be. We just did a commercial restaurant down in Dallas here recently that it was 700 something feet, but we're talking different levels on this business. So we had to figure out, okay, what do we need for this section? Where do we need to put jumpers? It takes a lot of mapping out for us to figure out where we need, what we need to order to make sure we have the right number of tracks, the right number of lights, the right number of jumpers, all to make the project work. So where power supplies, or power is going to be for our power supplies and controllers. I mean, it takes a good couple days to map out exactly how the project's going to be laid out.
Yeah, which shows just how many considerations there are. Lighting is not as easy as me installing a light bulb into my production studio here in the podcast studio. I want to switch gears a little bit, Chris, because I'm so fascinated. You and I know that we had to get you here on the show before you're about to get very busy. Obviously, your business is quite seasonal, and so that was really exciting that we could squeeze you in when you and I are having this conversation right on the cusp of Q4. And a lot of business owners look at Q4. For you, I'm so curious. I think to myself, if I wanted to have everybody here in my neighborhood in Tampa go through me for Christmas lights, I mean, I would door to door. I'd probably do some mailings and be in their mailboxes every single day. Sure. What does that look like, though? Because penetrating a local market, there's a lot of noise and it's hard to get in front of them. What's that look like for you?
So we do a lot of yard signs out in the street corners and our customers' front yards. We do door hangers as well. And then Facebook ads are huge for us. That's where we generate most of our leads. Then I'd say yard signs would be next, and followed by the door hangers. But so we'll saturate a neighborhood with door hangers with a special offer on those. Our Facebook ads, of course, will be running. We run some for Christmas, some for permanent lights, and then a couple of ads that have both options as well for there. So that's kind of where we take it. We also do some direct mailers as well. We have a software that we can direct to a certain neighborhood, not just a EDDM list, but we can direct it direct to that neighborhood. We can circle it. We want all of our postcards going here, and they go there. So that helps us as well.
Yeah, and from a strategic standpoint, I'm so in awe at the way that you operate, because I can't imagine a sales cycle that is so hyper-focused at one time of the year. Like for us, most business owners, we get to send out proposals and have sales conversations all throughout the year. You probably have a flurry of that right around this time that you and I are recording that. How do you manage that flow? Because I would imagine there's so many conversations simultaneously gearing up for an entire quarter of business. Strategically, what does that look like?
So we actually start reaching out to our former customers in July. We do an early booking Christmas and July special. We also run some Facebook ads at that point for Christmas and July specials just to get people on the schedule early. We usually do an early bird discount if someone will pay us their deposit by August 15th. And then we do an early installation discount as well for letting us come out in October, put those lights up, and then the customer can go back and turn them on when they want to. Starting probably mid-September, we get super busy with Facebook ads hitting, leads coming in. We actually use a Go High Level account that way everything's filtered through it. We can keep our pipeline going. We know exactly who we've talked to, who we haven't talked to, follow-up texts, follow-up emails, just voicemail bombs that way. That way everything is tracked. We don't lose anybody in the mix. We know when a customer's been sent a proposal, if they've been followed up on. So that's been super helpful. We just implemented the Go High Level this year.
Chris, I love it. You and I, we didn't talk about this off the air, but we are in the same boat. I'm quickly becoming a huge enthusiast of the powers of Go High Level. There's so much in there. You just rattled off so many of the features that we have come to know and love inside of Go High Level. So listeners, when Chris is talking about texting people, sending follow-up emails, messages, sending out proposals, all of these things are possible from within one system. So Chris, I love that.
Even Google reviews. I mean, they're automatically Google reviews are popping in there as well.
No way. So, that is so cool. Talk to us about that transition. I have found, truth be told, we have had a team member fully dedicated just to that transition. It's worth it in the long run, of course, but how did that evolution come about? Because clearly you were seeking out solutions in that, and you and I both settled on Go High Level there. We are not paid to talk about Go High Level. Chris and I are talking as two customers, but talk to us about that transition.
So I actually have a good friend in the industry. Her name's Molly Voth. She owns Light It Up Success. She spent a ton of time this year going through Go High Level, learning the ins, the outs of it. She's getting ready to launch it. I'm one of her beta testers for her system. But there's so many different opportunities out there for people that are running Go High Level campaigns. But yeah, Molly brought me in. She showed me the system, showed me how it's been working for her business. I was able to bring it in for mine. So like I said, we can make phone calls out of that system. We can make, and they're all tracked. We can do emails. All of our conversations completely are now through Go High Level. That way, everything is tracked. We know what's been done. We know the conversation's been made, what the customer said. They can opt in, opt out of our text blast. That way, it's just a system that keeps everything in line for us and our business.
Chris, hearing you say all of that, a lot of listeners will probably think, dang, Chris has a way more refined and polished sales process than I do, because it sounds like you're on top of all of these things, which again, for you, there's so many different moving parts. You've got so many different client types, so many different projects that you're working on. Is it as refined and polished? I know on podcasts it always sounds that way, but tell us the reality behind the scenes.
It's getting there. So it's been the last 2 months we've been working with Molly, and it's been great. So we had to work a few kinks out, getting my site and everything, all my verifications done. So it does take a little bit of time, doing your web verification, your text verification, getting a phone number and everything set up in there. I'm not going to say it's perfect yet. I'm not there because I haven't used it enough, but I know the systems are in place. The opportunity is going to be fantastic once I have it all figured out myself.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that leads me to, I'm so excited to tap into this part of your mind while we're on the air together, Chris, is I want to zoom way out, because we're hearing about you managing all these projects, all these clients, your marketing channels that you've been so kind and shared with us about Facebook ads and mailers and door hangers and all of those things. But now we're also talking about the more strategic stuff, integrating technology, making sure your workflows are right. Where does Chris Rios find time to think like an executive? Are you taking a giant step back and just putting that CEO hat on and saying, well, hold on, let's reset and figure things out? What's that look like?
That's a great question. I try to figure out time. My wife is a nurse. She works nights. So night she's working, I'm up on my computer till probably midnight right now, especially coming into season, just trying to lay the business out. What do I need to work on strategically to make us a better, more efficient company? So it's difficult right now between coaching kids sports. I'm the head softball coach for my daughter's team, going to my other daughter's softball stuff. My oldest daughter does cheer and baton twirling. So it's a juggling match, that's for sure. We have to figure everything out. Like I said, I spend a lot of time on the evenings since she's at work 3 days a week, working those night shifts, sometimes 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, just kind of kicking stuff around.
Yeah. What I really appreciate about that, Chris, is we get emails from listeners all over the world that we all have excuses to not find the time, and hearing the fact that every single one of your kids is involved in sports and you're a coach of one of those teams. Of course, you have so many different things on your plate, as well as you're a husband. You have so many different things going on, but you still find the time. And I want to call out, not only are you finding the time, you guys just expanded. You opened a second location in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, which is obviously where you're from, which which I think just reveals that as your business has grown, as you have evolved as an entrepreneur, you've realized I need resources. I need things to help me grow. What has that evolution looked like as far as resources, manpower, obviously opening the second location? How have you navigated those waters?
So years past, I've always just hired firefighters here locally that help me on my days off. I had a kid from college, the local college that was here as well. He worked for me for several years. Last year, I brought in a kid that I actually used to work out with at the gym. Just graduated high school this last year, and he wanted to come on, work for me part-time, ended up turning into full-time, and I've kept him year-round. So here locally in the Salina, Kansas market, I have him year-round to help me out with all the projects. Moving into Dallas-Fort Worth, I just hired a salesperson here a couple months ago. He's going out doing door-to-door with commercial leads, municipal leads, because that's really our focus down there. We'll do residential as well, but our main focus down there is going to be the commercial municipal market. Then my brother-in-law, actually, he's who I have working for me down there, running the operations, installs, things like that as well, just to kind of keep us balanced. I go down and help when needed and send the kid that works for me here down. We all get along great and just make it flow.
Yeah, I love it. Chris, you also just called out. When I said Salina, Kansas in your intro, I was like, that's definitely not how it's pronounced. All these Midwestern towns, I'm like, I'll never get them right. So, Salina. All right, got it. Along those lines, though, what's really cool to me in hearing that evolution is how much you've also been able to partner with and team up with people that you care about. Even if it's, firefighters that maybe you didn't have a past with, you guys have that shared connection, that shared bond. Sure. And it's something we talk a lot about on the air. And I always feel weird asking about this question because it's something so intangible, and that is culture. But I want to go there with you because I think you have such an interesting perspective on culture. You've been a firefighter, which that is a brotherhood. You require so much trust in your fellow firefighters. You're also an entrepreneur who's building and has built an incredible business. But also I want to pick on that sports coach mind of yours because all of these, you as a leader, you've had to help shape a culture of teamwork, of collaboration, of trust, of setting everybody up for success. What does that culture mean to you?
Just being able to have that bond with your employees, I think is huge. Brendan that works here for me locally, we're always in the office working on different ideas to make the business better. There'll be days that we just take the afternoon off. We'll watch the sports game that's on TV, just relax, just kick it around. His parents actually live right down the street from me, so before he moved here to Salina, we saw each other all the time in the gym. We went to the gym together and worked out. Just getting to have that bond with somebody and closeness that you can help grow in the business as well. He's become my operations manager here. That way, if I need something, if I'm gone, the business can still run. He's out doing installs by himself, whatever it takes. To keep us functioning. That way, if I need time off for my kids' events or whatever it may be, I have that person that I can rely on.
Yeah, I love that. It's so important in all of our businesses, and you're obviously very fortunate in the fact that you have that locally. For a lot of us, we have remote teams, but those interpersonal relationships are so important and so invaluable. I would actually argue, even for remote teams, it's why it's so important to get together in person. You can't replace that experience of watching a sports game together, just hanging out on a casual Friday afternoon. Those are the moments where real camaraderie is born. And so along those lines, I feel like you and I are probably similar in this vein, in the fact that, Chris, I don't do well if I'm just sitting there with nothing to do. I will find things to do. I love working on things. I love building things. You have a very seasonal business. I'm curious what that seasonality does to your mindset and the way that you work, because if my business was seasonal, I feel like in those slower months, I'd be like, okay, let's do more things. Like, let's roll out brand new things. How's that been for you?
So actually, I was brought on the permanent lighting company that I work for. Or that the brand that I installed, they brought me on to work with them this year. I'm kind of the brand CEO, I guess you'd say, and so other installers reach out to me for questions and help with installs, ordering product, and things like that as well. We've actually just launched a window cleaning company as well here in the last couple of weeks here locally, so we're growing that. We actually have been doing window cleaning the last 2 weeks. all around town. A couple commercial jobs, commercial and residential jobs as well. So we're working on getting that set up. That way, come springtime, we can roll that out as well. Now, our permanent lights, landscape lighting, outdoor audio systems, we are doing year round. We're out there. We do home shows in the spring, so bringing in leads that way. We keep the flow steady with the permanent lighting and landscape lighting. The outdoor audio system is something we just brought in this year, and it's really taken off for us as well. Going up, setting people's backyards up where they can just go relax out back around a campfire, around a pool, and just instead of bringing a Bluetooth speaker out, they now have almost surround sound speakers for their home as well.
Chris, you just confirmed you are just as bitten by the entrepreneurial bug as I am. I love the fact you smiled and you were like, yeah, no, we just started another company for window cleaning. Yep. I love that about you. To me, that's the entrepreneurial spirit. I'm going to ask you this strategic question. I don't often ask this on the air, but I know it's the case for so many of us. And I know that a lot of listeners' ears will perk up. I have found with as many businesses in my portfolio, similar to you, where I'm just like, all right, let's start this. It's a lot of times a rising tide lifts all boats, and a lot of those businesses can feed each other. I would imagine with your window cleaning business, that's built-in clients for Ultrashine and vice versa. How are you navigating that?
So we have a good clientele list of about 480, 500 customers that we service or giving bids out. So we were able to draw in. Our luxury Christmas lighting is the type of people we want to go after for window cleaning as well. And having that type of income between the two, they both want to make their homes look nice, whether it be for holidays or even keeping their homes nice for guests coming over throughout the year. So those two mesh well together, as well as just bringing that whole ambiance to the total home package.
Yeah, I love it. Chris, I'll tell you what, you said at one point earlier in the conversation that you didn't have that business foundation. A lot of listeners are going to be tuning in and thinking, dang, Chris actually has really figured a lot of this stuff out. And obviously it's an evolutionary thing. And you've said multiple times, I want to call it out for listeners, how many times you've said, well, I didn't know about this, so I went and I took a course on it, or I learned from somebody, or I read Facebook conversations about it. You're so proactive in that education, but I want to flip the script and reveal a little bit of the human element and reality of it. What are some of those entrepreneurial aspects that in hindsight you go, holy cow, I didn't expect that. I didn't know that I was going to have to be dealing with that. What were some of those early obstacles that you had to overcome? The backside of running a business. When I started the window cleaning and the Christmas light business, I guess mainly the Christmas light business, I had no idea on how to run the backside, the books, the invoicing, the sales tax, all that stuff. It was all of those. It was a cash business originally. I just did it to have that extra cash in my pocket come Christmas time. So having to sit down, figure that out, hire the right people, bring on accounting companies to help me run the accounting side and all my bookkeeping, and then just little things like that. It's definitely been a struggle. It's still a struggle today, but I have the right people in place to help me keep things flowing the way they're supposed to, keeping me legal, having the insurances, the workman's comp, things like that. It's never anything you really, you know about it, but you don't think about it when you're starting to start a service business like this. Yeah, and I would actually argue there's no way for us to know what we don't know other than talking to other people, interacting with others. I really like AI these days because obviously we can bounce these things off of it and say, what am I missing here? What else should I be thinking about? So I really appreciate the generosity and your transparency of sharing these things with us. I did know that time was going to fly by with you here today. It's so much fun getting inside your entrepreneurial mind. But Chris, I always ask this question at the end of every episode. It's super broad. You can take in any direction you want, and that is, what's your best piece of advice for listeners? Knowing that we're being listened to by both entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs at all different stages of their own entrepreneurial journeys, what's that one piece of advice you want to leave them with today?
I'd probably say never stop learning. I'm constantly reading. I have books that I read. I'm on Facebook and different forums in the industry, learning different techniques. I'm always going to conferences as well, listening to other speakers talk about business, talk about the industry I'm in, what's coming out. I probably go to 5 or 6 different conferences a year for lighting, and if the moment you quit learning is the moment that you kind of hit a plateau or stall or even fail. So never stop learning. Always be an open book.
Yes, so well said. And I love when that piece of advice weaves in with so many things that you've already shared with us. It's not just advice that you're giving, it's advice that you're heeding. And I so appreciate that about you. I'm very excited for people to check out your work because we've talked about it, but I will say from the moment our pre-production team reached out to you to invite you to come onto the show, we're just so amazed at the work that you do, the way that you show up, how much pride and passion is evident in your work. So for listeners who want to see it in action, whether they live in your area or they just want to check out all the great stuff that you're doing, drop some links on us. Where should listeners go from here?
So on Facebook, it's Ultra Shine Holiday Lights. You can also go to kansaspermanentlighting.com. That's our permanent lighting company here in Kansas. And our website for our Dallas location is permanentlightsdfw.com. So both of those will get you to our website. But Ultra Shine Holiday Lights is our main Facebook account. We're posting pictures, posting videos all the time on there. So that's where you can go and check us out at.
Yes, and listeners, you already know the drill. We're dropping all of those links down below in the show notes, no matter where it is that you're tuning into today's episode. So if you're on the go, if you're driving and the holiday season is coming up and you're saying, you know what, I want some inspiration, I want to see what Chris is doing, or better yet, if you're in his area, check out the links down below in the show notes. You can click right on through from there. Otherwise, Chris, on behalf of myself and all the listeners worldwide, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me.